The town of Maplewood had always been a peaceful place nestled near a dense forest that was both beautiful and eerie in its silence. It was a place where children played in the meadows and families gathered for picnics under the tall, ancient trees. But the forest had its secrets, dark, forgotten places where the sunlight never reached, and where whispers of old legends lingered in the air. One crisp autumn day, a 10-year-old girl named Emily vanished while playing near the edge of the forest. She had been out with her friends playing hide and seek when she wandered too far into the woods. Her laughter faded into the trees, and soon after, her friends realized she was gone. Panic quickly spread, and the town mobilized to search for her. Emily's parents, Sarah and David, were beside themselves with worrying. They had always warned Emily not to go too deep into the forest, but like any curious child, she had sometimes ignored their warnings. The police, volunteers, and even search dogs combed the forest for days, but there was no sign of her, no footprints, no torn clothing, nothing. As days turned into a week, hope began to wane. The town, once full of life and laughter, became somber and tense. People whispered about the forest, recalling old tales of the strange occurrences that had happened there. Some spoke of a cursed cave hidden deep within the woods, where people who entered were never the same when they came out, if they came out at all. On the 7th day of the search, Emily's parents decided to venture deeper into the forest, desperate to find their daughter. They ignored the warnings of the townsfolk, determined to bring her home. As they trudged through the underbrush, a cold wind began to blow, carrying with it a strange, faint sound. Laughter. It was Emily's laughter, distant and haunting. They followed the sound, hearts pounding, until they came to a hidden path they had never noticed before. The trees here were ancient, their gnarled branches intertwining to form a natural archway. The path led them to a cave, its entrance almost obscured by creeping vines and shadows. The laughter echoed from within. With trembling hands, Sarah and David entered the cave, the darkness swallowing them whole. As their eyes adjusted, they saw her, Emily, sitting on the cold stone floor, smiling serenely. Relief washed over them, but it was quickly replaced by a chilling sense of dread. Emily's eyes were completely white, blank, lifeless, as if her soul had been drained from her body. She didn't respond to their frantic questions or their tearful embraces. She just sat there, smiling, her gaze fixed on something only she could see. The parents hurriedly took Emily home, hoping that whatever had happened to her could be explained by exhaustion or trauma. But as the days passed, it became clear that the girl who had returned was not the same as the one who had left. Emily no longer spoke, and her once vibrant personality had vanished. She would sit for hours, staring blankly at the wall, occasionally breaking into that unsettling smile. At night, her parents would hear strange whispers coming from her room, though when they checked, she was always alone. The doctors were baffled. Physically, Emily was fine, but psychologically, she was unreachable. The white eyes couldn't be explained medically. Her vision was normal, yet the eerie appearance remained. As time went on, the whispers grew louder, and the house began to feel wrong. Shadows seemed to move on their own, and cold spots would appear in random places. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding. One night, Sarah woke to find Emily standing at the foot of her bed, her white eyes gleaming in the dark. Emily leaned in close and whispered in a voice that was not her own, "Asterisk, it's coming, asterisk." Then she turned and walked back to her room, leaving Sarah paralyzed with fear. The next morning, the family found strange symbols carved into the walls of the house, symbols that no one could explain. Emily's condition worsened. She refused to eat, and her body began to wither away. Desperate, the parents sought help from a local priest, hoping that something could be done to save their daughter. The priest, upon seeing Emily, immediately sensed an evil presence. He performed a blessing on the house, but it seemed to anger whatever was lurking within. That night, the whispers turned into screams, and the walls shook as if the house itself was alive. As the situation reached a terrifying climax, Emily suddenly spoke for the first time in weeks. She told her parents, in a voice filled with sadness and terror, that the thing in the cave had marked her. It was coming to claim her, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. That night, the house was plunged into darkness. The power went out, and the air grew thick with an oppressive, malevolent force. Sarah and David rushed to Emily's room, only to find her bed empty. The whispers returned, louder and more insistent, guiding them back to the forest. They ran through the woods, following the trail of whispers, until they reached the cave once more. Inside, they found Emily lying on the ground, her body cold and lifeless. Her white eyes stared up at them, still smiling in death. The authorities declared her death as a tragic accident, but the town knew better. The legends of the cursed cave were revived, and the townspeople vowed never to go near it again. In the years that followed, the cave became a forbidden place avoided by all who knew its dark history, but the whispers never truly left. Some nights, when the wind was just right, people claimed they could hear the faint sound of a child's laughter echoing from the forest, and those who dared to venture close to the cave would sometimes see a figure standing at its entrance, a young girl with white eyes, smiling as if she knew a secret the world was never meant to uncover. Sometimes the darkness hides things that should never be found, and sometimes the things that are found never truly leave.